Okay, so I've made 3 videos about what to do at the very start of DM3. But what I want to talk about now is the first minute in a bit more detail. Because it's all well and good knowing what to do for the first 10-15 seconds, but you have to play a good first minute. Okay, so it really sets the tone for the first 5 minutes, the actions that you take in the first 60 seconds. Let's cover a few different topics, and this video will be a little less structured than the previous ones, and I think it's going to be a bit longer as well. Let's start by talking about communication. Okay. A lot of less experienced players tend to start shouting and screaming about stuff, and it can become a bit, like Dear Diary at times with, lots of rambling talk. When you spawn DM3, normally you don't have to say that much, depending on where you are. Okay. If you spawn down here, you don't need to say anything. If you spawn at S&G spawns, you don't need to say anything. Okay. Really, I guess the only person who should speak in the first few seconds is the yellow guy, and he can just say, as soon as he spawns here, he can say Team Pen. Okay. By doing that, he will allow that lifts guy to probably drop down and take a peek, but then immediately go, because by the time the voice comes through, he'll realize he doesn't need to jump down and waste his time. So he can go to S&G, get the S&G, get the Mega, etc. Now you might be watching these videos thinking, isn't there a trick with, the yellow guy letting the lift guy get the pen? There is, but I don't want to go into that, so I want to keep this simple. And my advice is yellow guy, always take pen. Let's keep it simple for these videos. Okay, so if he quickly communicates, he can make a better decision and go to S&G. Okay, if you spawn the rocket, you obviously want to tell people that, but you don't need to say it in the first second. You can say it when you get up here, right? Similarly, those guys I mentioned fighting for quad and so on, yeah, by all means announce when it's enemy eyes or team quad, announce if the quad gets killed and so on, but it doesn't need to happen in the first second. Okay, so take a breath, listen, do what you need to do, focus on your actions. You don't need to start trying to tell a story immediately. Okay. Second thing, this is very general advice, but that applies to every 4-on-4 map, but let's just think about when items are going to be up. Okay. We know the yellow's on 1, 21, 41, and 61. Okay. We know the rocket's on 1, 31, and 61. We know the LG's on probably 5, 35, 65. Okay. We know the quad's probably on 4 or 5 and 64 and so on. Okay. So when these items are up. Sometimes I'll see players sitting around here waiting for yellow armor on 25 seconds. Okay, it's gone, and it's not coming back for another 15 seconds, and there's more important stuff happening. Okay, so always look at the clock, always be aware of what items are happening. But, we mentioned 31, 35, 61, 65. You have to be at the fight for these weapons. Okay. If you're walking around S&G with a shotgun picking up health and maybe an S&G around the 30 or 60 second mark, you're not doing what you need to be doing. Okay, you got to be involved in the weapon fights and to an extent the quad fight at the 1 minute mark as well. So you have to be active. Okay. Thirdly, let's use the rest of this video now to talk about how we can, I guess, influence that first minute. We know what people are going to be trying to do now based on the previous videos, but how can you stop it? Okay, let's start with the pent guy. Okay, going back to what I was saying about being active around the 30-second mark in this area. You can't just say, well, it's enemy pent, he's going to get everything, and he's going to get the rocket launcher, and he's going to get away. Okay, that is not a good mindset to be in. That might happen, but it definitely will happen if you're not on this side of the map. Okay, so on the pent video, we already spoke about some of the things that you can do to stop this person, having success. We can try to deny the Mega. The lift guy can try to deny the Mega. The lift guy can whittle down his armor. Okay, the lift guy might be able to steal the GL. The LG guy might be able to steal the GL. You may also just spawn here after the initial fight on 5 or 6 seconds and be able to come down here and take it. Okay, and similarly, the mound guy might be able to do that on 5 or 6 seconds. Different guy. Okay, so we can weaken him. We can try and delay him with shotguns outside or here, or maybe activity from high bridge or block or whatever needs to be done. We can try and deny him getting this yellow. Okay, And these are big things, right? So plausibly he could be coming out to the rocket with, in extreme cases, he may just have, 100 health as opposed to, 150, 170 or whatever it might be, right? So there can be a big difference in his stack before he gets to this spot. Even if he's in this spot, there's no guarantee he's going to get the weapon, right? If you have Team Ring, that can be a great way to come and steal the weapon. Window is a possibility, but window does have risk associated with it, and if you get knocked off, as I've spoken about, or you fall, you've kind of blown a good opportunity. So, getting to the steps here, waiting 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, get on the weapon. You give yourself a 50% chance. You can do that without ring as well, of course. And your chances of getting it are going to be increased if the Pent guy doesn't have the GL. Alright, let's say none of that works. There's still no guarantee he'll be able to get out safely, especially if you've got quad. Let me just backtrack a second. So quad, if I can get down here, let's say 18, 19, the Pent's going to take that. I can come here. Spoke about this already. This is very easy to prevent him getting to the rocket launcher. Similarly, if he falls in the water, this is very easy to stop him getting out of the water. Okay, so quad can do things to deny that Pent guy getting there. When he's trying to get out, quad can also be here doing this. I probably have 2 more seconds of Pent. Two and a bit more seconds of quad compared to the Pent. So there will be a small window there where I can hit him with 4x damage when he doesn't have the Pent. Okay, I should have teammates around helping as well. Even if he's making it all the way to high bridge here, maybe we have the first LG that escaped and is sat there. Okay, or maybe it's the first rocket launcher. We know that he probably wants to get here on 41 seconds, and there's lots of ways we can try and stop that. Okay, so that's attacking the Pent guy. Let's talk about the rocket launcher guy. We know that rocket launcher guy is, coming up here, and he's got a decision to make here, but, oftentimes they will be here, as we spoke about. So that this guy, especially if it's Team Pent, that guy's probably going to get forced out to window against his will. Maybe he goes early on 15, maybe he goes late on 20. At the very last second he realizes he can't hang around and safely get that yellow. Why can't we have a guy here at the window? Could be a quad guy, could be a red guy, could be an SNG guy, could just be a shotgun. When he comes through, he'll probably panic and do some self-splash damage. Or the worst case scenario, you're going to get a few shots onto him. Then we know he's probably going this way, through the dangerous center area, to try and get this health. There's numerous opportunities to shoot that rocket guy. Okay, so just because the rocket guy doesn't die at yellow, doesn't mean we can't get him as he tries to come through this area. Okay, and ring I mentioned. Potentially ring can steal red. Potentially ring can push the rocket launcher, and so on. So there's lots of different options available for what to do. Like the initial red can be so powerful, right? Then we got to think LG as well. We can't just think rocket and rocket denial. We got to think LG fight on 35, and then if we get to the 1 minute mark, we have quad as well, right? Okay. And I'm talking about focus on this side of the map, the weapons and the power-ups. Obviously, there does need to be some tracking of red timing and trying to take reds, but you can't win the game if you're not picking up the items on this side as well. Okay, but when it gets to the minute mark, decide: are you going to be at the weapons? Or are you going to be at quad? And it doesn't matter if you have nothing. Stand here, block, shotgun, stand there, potentially stand here. Or if it's safe as houses, leave the guy and make your way to the weapons, right? So it's all very situational, and I know that's tricky for newer players to hear because everyone wants to be able to follow a very specific strategy. But I think the message really is follow the strategy for the first 10-20 seconds, and then listen, keep checking the clock, keep hearing what's happening situationally on the map and who's got what, and try to make the best decisions, but remain active in the key areas at the key times, and you'll do well. Do not get too sidetracked being at SNG spawns and SNG when you have nothing. You need to play a part in the first minute.